position, they are not being fair anymore. It is so plain. The way they put their headlines sometimes, it's so plain that they are into taking sides, political sides. So what would you expect when you are back right down on ground and you find probably even their model of reporting is so biased? So I think also it behoves the media to take also responsibility in the manner in which they do their reporting, that they need to be fair, that they present that which actually exists on ground. However, there is something I just wanted to probably also buttress on the aspects of whether now the politics into the future is the politics of money, is it a politics of agenda? And I want to thank President William Samoei Ruto, because this is the only president, particularly on the presidential level of politics going into the future, I think he's been able to raise it the bar to the point that if you are vying for any of these particular seats, you should be able to have to come with a credible plan, an agenda, a manifesto that can be that Kenyans can be able to figure out if that is what they want for themselves. The challenge now we still do have now is on these other lower cadres of positions that we are competing for. Sometimes people who don't have the brains or they don't have any agenda and they probably have money, that is what they use. They give out the money, they dish out the money to cover the inadequacies of their, the inability to figure out the things they want to do for the electorate. And therefore, even my colleague Professor, whom I wanted to disagree with him, because I heard Professor talking about probably the government of President William Ruto, talking that probably, I don't know whether he was trying to say that the economy is not doing well and such stuff. And I wonder what Professor, whether he's been recently reading, even the reports that come from some of these independent agencies that have been reviewing the performance of our country. And I want to say, Prof, let's be fair sometimes. I respect you a lot. He's one of the finest professors, but I disagree with him sometimes in the assessment of how he makes things. So when you're talking about Olkalau, and sometimes probably there could be more than what was being given right on ground. Apart from you talked about accelerated developments that were being launched every corner of it. And I want to tell Prof, if you're talking about the general outlook of the economic performance of this country, it is plain that this government has been able to move our country from 2022 literally on a deathbed, and we are on the better pedestal of making better our country. However, yes, you might swing your head, but that is a reality. When we are talking about Olkalau right now, sadly so, as I said, it is still the aspect of tokenization is existing. Let's be frank, even myself, when you go back right down on ground, the moment you just land, if you don't, now your colleague has something to offer, so nobody will listen to you. We are in a catch-22. But I'm looking forward to a situation where Kenyans will be able to listen more on the ideation. What is this thing that you want to come and do for them as a manifesto? Or what is it that the person right now on the seat did not do that they are coming to deliver? Finally, I want to agree that in Olkalau, it's been more, particularly from the aspect of the opposition, it has been talking about a political party, much more than the candidate and probably what the candidate comes to deliver. So we are now reducing ourselves, and I think also media also needs to up their game, so that we help Kenyans and say, any candidate of whatever position you're vying in this country, please come with an agenda, come with a manifesto, come with a dream. That is the pedestal that we need to be talking from, but not basically about political parties or the tribal lines or pulling one another. Now we are talking about the presidential campaigns. You talked about perception. Yeah. So we are losing again because the people of Olkalau want the right leader to represent them. It is not much more about the perception of the 2027, but rather what is in there for the people of Olkalau.
But of course, that is bound to really happen, because you can see there are a lot of activity around the two candidates that you're proffering, and overshadowing these other candidates that we know also will be going down to the ballot tomorrow. But I wanted just to ask, from your own assessment, Prof, as well, because of the high stakes that we have in this consequential by-election tomorrow, will the losing or the winning of Gachagua